basically like, if you think banning abortions is gonna stop abortions, then let's ban guns and stop gun violence.
Word. Yeah. There you go.
Like,
yeah.
That's from a 13-year-old.
Yeah, literally.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Interview with My Kid. I'm Jesse Sullivan.
and I'm Arlo.
That's my kid. So yeah, I mean, a lot has kind of changed since our last episodes. I have blue hair, I got a face tattoo. Did anything change with you, Arlo?
Not really.
They were at their other dads, but probably the only thing that changed was they just got cooler. Awkward. All right, so the silence. The silence is loud. So our next guest is amazing. She is an actress and the co-founder of Pride House LA. We love her. We're so excited to have her here. Welcome, Mollee Gray. Yay,
Welcome.
Hello.
We're so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited.
I know you had such a busy weekend at VidCon,
Yeah.
and that's probably pretty exhausting and stuff, so we're so happy that you're here and you made it.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's been so fun. And also, excuse my voice because I usually don't sound so muffled, but I was screaming like a crazy person at VidCon and Disneyland. So,
Yeah.
But I'm, so excited.
Well, I mean, worth it. Worth the raspy voice. for
Yeah,
sure.
literally.
So, I mean, I know we've been following each other for a while, so that's why it's so fun to actually have you sitting in this chair and interviewing you, because I've been watching so much happen in your life.
Yeah.
And we met a while ago, I remember at someone's birthday party or something,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like you and I finally became friends, but I've been following both of you for forever. I remember hanging out with one of my friends, and I had just first came out the first time second time technically as lesbian, and I was trying to get into the community in LA, and I was watching you guys, and I was just like, whoa, if my kid is not as cool as Arlo, I'm giving it back. I just remember when your hair was pink and you would wear all the coolest clothes, and I was just there's no way a kid is that cool. So It's really fun to see both of your guys' journeys, and obviously, me going through mine with my husband. It's just been such a full circle moment.
It's crazy too because, like you just said, full circle. I used to be obsessed with Teen Beach Movie when I was little.
This is true.
Yeah, when
Arlo,
I was really little.
So when you eventually have kids, you'll see, if you want them, that
Of course.
they make you watch one movie or one TV show 1,000 times a day.
This is
So
true.
Teen
Movie?
Beach Movie
Yeah.
was on loop for
Yeah.
a good 3 months,
Yeah.
and the songs were in my head. And so now when they're on TikTok, I'm
Yeah.
I already know every lyric.
Yeah, you're get them off.
I had a couple of friends when I was really little that were a couple years older than me, and I would force them to
watch
watch Teen
it?
Beach Movie with me.
It's actually so good. Even as an adult, I was I would
really
get so
entertaining.
into it. I'd be like, what happens next?
I literally am it still kind of is a bop. And
Yeah,
it's been,
no, totally.
it's
The
been
songs
forever.
are so good.
Everyone always asks Molly, would you do a Teen Beach 3? And my character giggles as I have to stay looking that age because I'm in the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm it's not that hard for me. I still can't grow up. But I don't look a day over the age that I filmed.
Yeah, literally, you don't age. I mean, people say that to me, but you really don't.
Yeah, no. I'm trying though. I'm come on, I'm getting
How
older.
old are you?
I'm 31.
You are? Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah, okay. I'm 32, yeah.
I
So-
was thinking 25.
Yeah, totally.
Seriously, I would even have said 20.
Yeah, we were at the bar yesterday, and I was sitting next to this person, and they were checking my ID, and I have a passport card because my ID just expired. And so the bartender was like, "Is this real, mama?" I said, "Yes, I'm 31." And the person sitting next to me flipped her hair over, and she was like, "I thought you were 16." And I was
Oh my God.
"Thank you, ma'am."
You're doesn't that feel so good
Yeah.
though?
Oh,
That
yeah.
stuff happens to me all the time. I get ID'd everywhere. I have people be like, I actually thought you were 16, trying to buy alcohol.
Yeah.
And when I'm with Arlo, they think we're either siblings or
Yeah.
unfortunately dating. So that's the worst case scenario. But the people have full on been like, you're lying, you're not 32.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'll show you my ID.
People
so
always
weird.
think he's my older brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm if I was gonna lie about my age being over 21, I wouldn't say 31.
Yeah,
I'd be 24.
Yeah,
so-
exactly.
Yeah.
It's so
That
funny,
probably
but-
helps make them believe it more.
Yeah.
But you're talking about Teen Beach Movie and stuff. I feel like that's the perfect segue to go into so if there are, I feel like everyone watching this is already going to know, but if there are people watching it that don't really know your story, you were on Teen Beach Movie, basically Disney Channel, right?
Yeah, so I started off, I grew up in Utah, and I got my kind of entertainment going right at 9 years old. I did a small film there, I did a commercial, but then what really set me off is I was a dancer in all 3 High School Musicals. Okay. So that kind of got me into Disney Channel and with Kenny Ortega. And then he got got me an agent. Like he was like, do you have an agent? And I was like, no. And he's like, called his up and he's like, sign Mollee. And I was like, this is insane. I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a lawyer. I had plans to like move to the East Coast and pursue that. Yeah, I like really, really loved that. And now, right when I moved to LA, I got into So You Think You Can Dance, and that just kind of catapulted everything. And so then I was really kind of with the channel for forever, and I was always battling this kind of weird, am I bisexual, am I lesbian, or like those words were very new to me growing up in Utah.
Right.
So it was just, it was so interesting, just like everything kind of smacked down at once.
Right, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, obviously I thought it was important to bring up that you were on Disney Channel and you were doing these shows that were geared towards young kids.
Yeah.
And in that time, you're also a kid basically going through, being closeted, right?
Yeah.
And going through these emotions. At the time, did you know even like the words to put to it? Or is it something now as an adult you look back and you're like, oh my God, I was clearly queer and I just...
Yeah, so I think about that all the time. I have an older half-sister from my dad's side of the family, and I was 16 years old, and she was like, hey, meet my girlfriend. I can't remember her name. And I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because I know this sounds so strange, but I knew there was gay boys because I grew up in the dance community, but I didn't even realize there were gay girls or lesbians, So once that was introduced to me, I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I can't just be lesbian though. Like I grew up Mormon. So at 18, when I was on So You Think You Can Dance, there was a couple dancers who were identifying as bisexual. Okay. So I kind of learned about that and how like you're identifying, you are attracted to male identifying people and female identifying people. I was like, okay, let me try and come out like that first as like a safe haven. And then at 21, I was just like, no, I'm just lesbian. That's what it is. And then I was dating girls and everything. And then I finally started dating Jekka. Jekka and I were friends before we started dating, friends for 3 years. And we say it all the time, and I've gotten permission from him to say this in all my interviews, because my favorite thing he's ever said is I was dating this girl, and we had randomly reconnected, and I needed him to know. Like, I needed him to know that, like, I was in the community, because I'd never told him before. Yeah. And so he was like, whoa, hey, how are you doing? And I was like, oh, good, just dating a girl. And then he goes, you're dating a girl, and it's not me. And I was like, ooh, that's kind of hot. Ooh. And right away, that like we've not gone one day without texting. And so I had identified that way as lesbian we've been together almost 10 years, and he just came out as trans 2 years ago.
I didn't know you guys have been together for 10 years.
Yeah, and so
that
now
is amazing.
I identify as queer. So
okay, amazing. So,
what was it like dating Jekka pre-transition? How did that feel?
It's so weird to think about like the past, like in the present, because in the moment, I never knew, and I always tell people, I find it so ironic that I was so in love right away. Like, there was nothing about him I did not like every single day. Like, I can't believe it's been 10 years. But the second that he had came out as trans, and like he had came out to other people before, I guess he was really nervous to tell me. He didn't want to lose me or something. And I think once I found that out, that broke my heart that like he was living with something so much. And I loved him for everything that he was. And then the second that he came out to me and then really started taking testosterone, and his confidence, like I even say, like he felt like he grew 2 inches because, before he got top surgery and everything, like you're always kind of covering up. So he kind of walked like this. And then the second he was just taller, and I was like, wow. But yeah, so it's been an incredible journey. I think the hardest part was we want to have biological kids from both of our sides. So he came out to me, and so he first got top surgery and still didn't change his pronouns or anything. And then one day we were driving in the car, and I guess he's so funny when he tells the story. He had been like trying to ask for like 2 weeks but got nervous. And we were in the car driving, and he goes, hey babe. And I was like, yeah. He never says it like all nervous, and wasn't even looking at me. Usually he has his hand on my thigh or something. And I was like, yeah. And then he didn't talk, and I was like, are you okay? And he was just like, can you use he, him pronouns? I was like, of course. And he was just like, I was so nervous.
I love that.
That's so cute.
So, but before that, he had top surgery. Then we switched his pronouns, and then we wanted to have biological kids. So we didn't know enough research yet on testosterone. Like if you can start taking testosterone and then if you come off it, are you going to still be able to produce eggs? We didn't know that because we did this all like 5 years ago.
Yeah. And I think with these processes, you're learning as you go. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing the exact same thing right now. There's not like a handbook that tells you before you start.
Yeah,
So.
it was intense, and so we decided to get his eggs out and make embryos before he started testosterone.
Amazing.
Which, as like somebody, it's so hard to watch somebody you love struggle, and just to know that like he was being pumped with female hormones when all he needed was his male hormones, and it was such a beautiful, dark place, like knowing we were creating a family together. But then he was so not in his body.
See, I just got chills because I'm literally about to go through this whole process. Me and Francesca want to do this.
Yeah.
And we're just going to freeze my eggs. We're not going to create embryos because we haven't decided on a sperm donor yet. But these are things we talk all the time. And she's like, she'll be like, yeah, I really want to do it. And she's so eager. And then I think she senses some hesitance from me because I'm like, I know what I have to go through.
Yeah.
And it is definitely mentally hard on a trans man, for sure.
Yeah, it was really hard, and he doesn't really cry much. Like he'll get sad or something, but he had tears, and obviously when hormones affect fat distribution too, and you're gonna get very bloated in places that maybe cis men don't, and it was very like the body dysphoria was just so intense, and but the good thing is if you go through it just right away, and it's really like a 2-3 week process.
Right, that's
and then,
what I heard.
And then you're done.
Yeah.
But I would mentally kind of prepare for that and just really lean on Francesca, and she'll be there for you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's so amazing you guys are gonna have kids. I love that. I love more queer people having kids because raising Arlo alone as a queer person for so long, like because I was a young parent, everyone around me, nobody had kids.
Right.
And finally, just now, people I know are starting to do it. I'm like, yay! Like, I can like hold babies again, and like if you guys ever need anything, like I'm literally like a baby whisperer.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Because not only do I have 7 brothers and sisters, I have 16 nieces and nephews, and Arlo. So
right. Oh my god.
So literally, like lean on me for anything you guys need once you.
Wait, is that just on your side?
Yeah, that's just
Oh my god, because there's also my other dad's side as well.
Yeah.
And we're all very close. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that means that there's even more.
Yeah, technically more. So
Jeez.
Are you ready for any siblings?
Arlo hates this question.
Like, I'm just not a kid person.
Yeah.
I just don't really like
very
kids.
mature. Yeah.
But I mean, it's cool. I just my one rule is that I will not change any diapers. That's the only thing.
They were very clear to us about that, and we're like, we clearly
fair.
knew that. Yeah. We want to try for twins first. Have you guys thought about anything like that? Like she wants to knock 2 out in one, and since we're doing it this way, we can. And we were like, well.
Yeah, totally. I think too, especially because you already have had Arlo, that's probably going to be easier for you to right away have twins.
Yeah.
I definitely want a set of twins. I'm nervous to have 2 for the first time.
Yeah.
But so for me, we're going to be. We're just going to use our sperm our donor sperm just to inseminate me right away. Okay. So I could possibly get 1, I could get 2, 4.
Yes,
so I
does have 4, 8.
just multiplying.
Your next show is going to be you with like 6 kids.
Literally, and then I think if we want to have twins after, we could put 2 embryos.
Right.
But we also really want to adopt. So we might do like 1 from my DNA, 1 from Jessica's DNA, and then adopt.
These are literally so funny. Everything you're saying is all the same things me and Francesca talk about. We're like, maybe like 1 insemination, 1 twins, and then 1 adopt. Like,
but don't you feel like that's because like we're in the queer community where like I feel like a lot of cisgender, maybe like heterosexual couples just don't really have to care or think about it.
That's exactly what I was just going to say, because we have to. It's so planned, and there's so much time, money, effort, and everything that goes into it. You're like, well, we might as well do this in a way where we can help a child, and in a way where it's almost like customized to our family life. And like, I mean, I think it's actually so beautiful.
Really like. We were talking about earlier with the whole Roe v. Wade thing. Like, I feel like queer people are really the only one that are like, in my opinion, that are really trying to be progressors in this. And like, there was this TikTok I saw yesterday of this entire like adopt, don't abort, whatever. And they went to them and they asked each single person who was there, how many kids have you adopted?
Right.
And none of them had,
Exactly.
and they were like, I have 2 of my own.
Right.
And I was like, that sentence right
Exactly
there
shows.
is so bad, because even when you adopt a kid, they're still your own. Like, and I was just like,
yes.
Yeah.
And that's actually a great segue as well. Earlier we kind of touched on it. This is such a just disheartening time in our country right now.
Yeah.
This just happened on Friday. You know, Roe v. Wade getting overturned, and you identify as a cis female, right? Like I can say that. So this is obviously probably something that really touches home with you. What are your thoughts on this? How are you feeling? What's something you want? You know, a lot of our listeners are young people who are looking for guidance, who are looking for comfort. What is something that, you know, you want to say?
Yeah, I think not to lose hope. This is a time where that side of things really expect us to, and think that they're going to be able to kind of dominate, you know, this like very cis hetero male society. White old men are trying to get back in control of their, what they believe is this Christianity, you know, country where differences are not celebrated. And I think we've progressed so much that we have to put that forward. As hard as it is, we have to do it for the Arlos. We have to keep going. And, you know, when I would look up those states that are not going to overturn it, like Gavin Newsom just released, like California will always be a safe space.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which I thought was really cool. And get involved and donate to companies that are doing great. I just saw this really amazing TikTok of this employee at Dick's Sporting Goods. I don't know if you've seen that. It was so cool because they released this entire email being like, we support our employees, and we're going to give you, if any of you or your spouse need healthcare treatment for that abortion, we're going to fund up to $4,000 in travel expenses.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
To get where you need to. And it's like, if there are so many people advocating for it, I think that we can make some change. And we have to do it quick and vote, because the next thing is marriage equality.
Exactly.
The next thing
I was
is,
just going to say, as
it's
queer
gonna
people, everyone in this room is, and your husband is, and like, that was my first thought, is like, not my first thought, obviously my first thought is that this is such a scary time for women, but then I was thinking, where is this going to go next? And I think that is exactly where it's headed. And I think because this is to control women's bodies and minorities' bodies and queer people's bodies, I think it's just going to be, you know, this progression. And I think you're right. I think what we have to do is start supporting funds that are funding abortions. Like I saw something that was like fund abortions, like stuff like that. I think right now what we're going to have to do, unfortunately, is like as individuals and as communities, we're going to be funding each other until we can kind of like get this back on track.
Yeah, and I think, you know, something was really special is the founder of, the co-founder, his parents started Planned Parenthood, said criminalizing abortions don't stop them. They just
no, not at all.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people assume, specifically more in like religious-based places, that abortion is just to get rid of a kid you don't want.
Right.
But it's actually, if you have a miscarriage, if you don't want to deliver a stillborn, or if, you know, I know personal people who wanted to be pregnant and they found out during their pregnancy, if that kid, that fetus is not able to be removed, you're gonna die. And they have kids like living in the present, and it's just so hard. It goes such beyond a kid, you know, a teen kid getting pregnant and they're not wanting him. You know, so it's
and people who can't afford it as well.
Exactly.
It's a really big issue, like a really, really big issue.
Like who's helping those babies that aren't going to be able to be fed?
Exactly. Nobody.
And like you said earlier, who's adopting them? Like
Nobody.
When the woman does go through with it and give the kid up for adoption, who's adopting these kids?
Or what happens, when they turn out trans or gay or queer or
suddenly
Black.
their lives don't matter as much, right?
Then they're just wafted onto the street. I know I talk about TikTok a lot, but I feel like very engaged on that app.
Me too.
And,
I seriously think TikTok changes the world.
Yeah,
I really
me too.
do.
And there was this female who was saying, where were you? And she kind of did this poetry of it. Where were you in this? Where were you pro-life? She goes, when I was delivered, because I was in and out of the system, I am a sexual assault survivor. I have been bouncing around my entire life. I don't know the tools to survive. You know, she goes, so if I could say something, I wish my mom had the choice, and I wish I would have not been here because my life is not something that
Exactly.
anyone else gets. And that was such a powerful thing to hear, because it's like, yes, of course, there's so many different outcomes of somebody who is actually here and can be adopted. And there is a place where maybe sometimes you're like, I wish that my life was not here.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And
it's so, it
I
just
think
breaks my
I think
heart.
it just goes so beyond that. We can like talk about all these like different avenues and nuances of it all, but really like when it just comes down to it, it's like every woman should have that right no matter what. And so that's like, all these politicians like bring up like, oh, well, what if this, what if that? And it's like, those are the smallest, worst case scenarios of like the reality of what's going on in the world. And most of them are safe, because the woman needs it medically or like whatever the reason is.
Yeah, and anybody who has the possibility of giving birth. Because obviously not everybody, that can do that.
I was
as
thinking
a
about
woman.
this for myself, like I technically still have like the reproductive organs where like it could happen to me and I could need an abortion.
Yeah.
And so like, that's a whole nother place this is going as well.
I was going to add too, though, it's like the reason though, because you were talking about like, oh, well, there's people on the street who like, their lives aren't great. And like you said, like that woman, she even said like, I kind of wish my mom had the choice to do that. And because at the end of the reason that there's no one there to help those people is because at the end of the day, the people who are controlling these situations don't really care about the kids. It has nothing to do with the lives. It has nothing to do with the kids. It has to do with control.
Right, if they were pro-life, they would have banned guns.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Arlo, what was that? What did you say
Yeah,
earlier?
I was saying because like, basically like, if you think banning abortions is going to stop abortions, then let's ban guns and stop gun violence.
Word. There you go.
Like,
That's from a 13-year-old.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. So
That
mean,
needs to be on a shirt. You can get some merch and sell
literally.
that.
Arlo has amazing quotes all the time. Like they'll just like walk in my room and they'll be like, say something and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insanity.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
it's just
straight
so
up
sad that, if a 13-year-old can, I honestly think your generation is going to change the world. Like I think it's because their generation is being raised by our generation, where we like are the first generation after our parents fought to like really actually put that visibility and change,
Exactly.
So
something we talked about on the last podcast was like millennials generation. Like I hate using that word, but we kind of are the first people to discover a lot of this. Like we were talking about how like you were saying like I didn't even know like what lesbian was. Like I didn't know the word trans until I was way older.
Yeah.
So we're like just discovering these things that like people before us kind of set the path for us.
Right.
And then now that we have, and now with social media, we're setting the tone for their generation to have almost this just like blank slate to discover it all, to have the terminology, to have the space, to have the platforms. And I think that's why like we're seeing such amazing things coming from Gen Z.
The thing is, though, that I will add to that is a lot of Gen Z did that themselves. Because one of the biggest issues is that even still today, there is an insane amount of issues within the community and with transphobia and homophobia and, racism and everything. And there's still so many issues relating to those things. And so I do get what you mean, totally, but I still think that there's a ton of issues that still need to be figured out. And
Totally.
like even just in my generation, not even just in millennials, but like in my generation, there's still even a lot of homophobia and transphobia and stuff like that.
Of course. And I feel like it's so crazy because we live in this California bubble, so we just feel like of course we're accepted, but then you go to the Midwest.
Or I go back home to Orange County.
Yeah, even some places, I was
An
gonna say, even
hour
some
away.
places
Really?
here.
Oh my God.
Even some places
Night
here.
and day, and that's what was so interesting growing up is like, Orange County is only an hour from LA, and I grew up in Orange County, and I would go to LA all the time to get away from it, and just vast differences.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have LA, I don't even know what I would have done, because that's where I found my queer community, and that's where I found like my chosen family and the people that first told me like what trans means, and that like, I was like, oh my God, I identify with that, or told me, like about top surgery. I remember the first time someone talked to me about top surgery, I was like, you can do that? Like, so
no, it's insane.
And so like with young people that are listening that are in areas like the red states and, don't have those cities to go to, like my best best advice is to you is to find online communities, because
Yes.
it's the closest thing you can get in the meantime. And that's what this podcast is even for.
Right,
It's
right.
Yeah.
for, people to solidarity, and it's to feel
Yeah.
comforted and
Yeah.
to know that you're welcome here and loved here, and you are.
Yes, it's definitely like a safe space and in conversations. And I think too, I'm a big advocate with this too. Like, your journey is your journey, and just because you see a lot of people coming out and being public with it, like, if you are not in a safe space, like if you are like in a place where you could be kicked out, or you could lose your family, or like, even the place where, like, obviously in Texas, where the parents can be ridiculed for supporting their kids, it's like, if you don't have those means, and you can't move, I would say do what you can to stay safe first.
Yes,
definitely. And I think once we hit that kind of progression line where we get to re-overturn, like moments like that, like Roe v. Wade, like, but don't, I feel like in those certain places, making a splash is going to be really detrimental right now. So finding those, online, or, reaching out to people in places that are safe here in California. But I get nervous because Gen Z is so strong-willed that, like, they're going to go out and it's going to be, in the wrong place, or, I'm terrified of shootings and everything.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we get the question all the time from young people that are like, how do I come out? When do I come out? And it's so hard to answer that, because
Right.
I can't tell someone to do something that would put them in harm's way.
Exactly.
So if they're 13 and they're living in Texas or wherever, I can't be like, oh yeah, sit your parents down.
Yeah.
I don't know what their parents are like. What if they hurt
Exactly.
them?
Yeah.
Or, if they're asking like, they want to like start a rally or something, I don't want to tell someone to do that.
And then
it's
something happens.
Yeah, something
Exactly.
happens.
I've
So
thought
it's so
about
hard.
that.
So I always kind of say the same thing. I think like online, if you can find a community online in the meantime, is a safe, especially for a really young person that can't be like,
Yes.
oh, I'm moving to California.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly. Like, even just following creators, who are LGBTQ makes it feel more like a community.
Exactly.
and I think
easier
that's
for
why
people.
queer creators need to stick together and bring that's why when I was like thinking of this idea, I was like, I have so many people I want to bring on, because I want to amplify all the different voices and show like people like almost like they're sitting in this room with us, and like they would feel safe here,
Right, yeah, I love it. It's definitely, representation matters in all forms, and I definitely feel like the time is now for queer safety and visibility. So
100%.
And so we kind of talked about that, but I almost want to go back a little bit to like your Disney Channel like time, just because it got me thinking, like while we were talking about that, did you feel that you could have come out of the closet like when you were feeling that?
Not at all. But I don't necessarily know if it was Disney telling me not to. Like, I never asked permission to come out, but there was such a, obviously, like, quote unquote, wholesome thing over Disney.
Heteronormative.
Exactly. So I was scared that, like, I had put in so much work, I had dedicated my entire life to my career, that, like, I was going to come out and that one thing was going to take everything from me.
Right.
And I was, like, just so scared because, being queer wasn't in the media yet. This was, like, 10 years ago.
No,
Is
totally.
when I came out publicly.
And like you said, kind of like the wholesome thing, like a lot of the time, which it's crazy that a lot of people are like this, but people even still almost look at like being queer, just being part of the community is almost not wholesome. Like it's
Right,
like
yeah.
it's,
Perverted,
Yeah.
edgy, or
or now we're trendy.
Trendy.
yeah, something like that. And so I do get what you mean by that. It like, I could see how that could be hard coming
Oh,
from
absolutely,
Disney.
especially
And
10
then-
years ago.
Yeah.
And it was so strange because obviously this was Jekka pre-transition. So People Magazine, we did an exclusive with People Magazine, and it was just like Disney star, married girlfriend, and it like went viral. And it was in, when I say every outlet, I was so scared. It was on, it was Daily Mail, Snapchat, People, then it was in Star. Like once it went viral everywhere. And like, I was not expecting that at all. I thought maybe some people would be like, oh, I know her from Team Beach, that's cool.
Yeah.
It was in every platform. My publicist was like, I have never seen anything like this with my clients. But that's because it wasn't
Talked about. So people were probably
popular.
like,
Yeah, they were like,
"Whoa."
whoa. And I was in this like Disney princess gown, like ball gown, like moment.
God.
And he was in this white tux, and it was really pretty and intimate. And I think like we didn't expect it to pop off. So we paid for everything ourselves. We didn't get any brand deals. It was just like, we didn't even have that yet.
Yeah.
And so kind of made that moment, kind of going back to what we were said, wholesome. Where I was like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. And then I didn't get fired from Disney's Teen Beach 2. They kept me on there, and I brought Jekka on set just to normalize it.
Right.
Being like, hey, this is my partner. And
Amazing.
yeah, so, but then it was actually my publicist that told me to come out. And then ever since then, like, my career actually catapulted.
Right.
Like, so it was so ironic, and that's when we started Pride House LA during the pandemic. So, like, being true to myself was so scary at first, and I was going to lose everything, but it was the one thing I needed to succeed.
I just got the chills again. I've gotten chills in this chair so many times by my guests, but because I felt that exact same way. I was so scared to tell this story as like having a kid, and people are harder on me when I have a kid because they're like, you're a parent, you should know better. Yeah. And I was so scared, and like my life got so much better, and my career did so much better when I was just honest with myself. And kind of like what you're saying with Jekka, like when you're like a trans man, kind of closeted, you feel more like you're like hiding and your shoulders are slouched. And I kind of was like more like, oh, I didn't like to show myself in certain ways. And like, even though I haven't gotten top surgery yet, I just feel like my life like got like amplified. Like I just felt like me times a million. And I think that spoke to the people that was following me. Yeah. And so I could absolutely see that like with your career and everything. Yeah. And I was thinking too, when you were saying that, like that was 10 years ago when you came out. Yeah. I love how like a lot of like conservatives will be like, oh, people are doing this now because of TikTok and it's trending. And you're like, no, I did this 10 years ago when it was like scarier to do this. You're just seeing it now, like on TikTok.
Exactly.
But yeah.
And I can promise you, nobody would choose to go through that for a trend.
Yeah.
No,
100%.
Nobody. I've actually seen comments like that quite a few times. Nobody would want to go through that mentally and physically just because you saw on like TikTok, like make any sense.
Someone who says that doesn't know what this is like.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not an easy
And
journey.
it's so ironic because literally America is one of the few places that only has two genders. Yes. Like there's a beautiful documentary called Gender Revolution. I don't know if you've seen it, but it talks about gender revolution and how there's I think it's in like Samoa, something like that, where they have a third gender called the Fa'afafia, and it is somebody who is more male appearing but likes female type of like chores, I guess, how they kind of explain it. And if you and your family raise a Fa'afafia, it's celebrated. Like you are like, you know.
I was
like,
just talking about this.
So crazy.
Like I was on Drew's podcast and we were talking about this exact thing, and we were both saying how like in like different tribes from both back in the day all the way until now and like different cultures all over the world, that third gender is like celebrated. You're like looked at as like,
or there's even like androgynous is actually a gender in, I can't think of it right now, but it's where you're like, how is that not, how are we thinking that there's only two genders? I don't understand
because
why.
America is so binary in everything. And we're so polarizing and we're so black and white that that's literally probably one of the biggest like detriments to this country.
Yeah. And
because is the world black and white ever? No.
Like my last name's Gray, so
my
last
Perfect.
name's Gray. So
the spectrum.
Yeah, literally. No, there was something really awesome talked about on there as well, that there's a lot of people who are intersex when they're born, and the doctors say it's easier to remove the male genitalia, and then they say just raise them as a girl. Right. So then they're like forced into this binary, and there's this story of this person that they follow who has was cis female. They didn't know they were intersex their entire life. Wow. And they were telling their parents, no, I am male. And then he got a hold of his birth certificate and saw that he was intersex. And so he was like, you raised me to be a girl. You were forcing me to be a girl. And I'm telling you, I'm on the inside. Right. I am male. And it was so crazy because it just brought so much light to me, and in a way of, oh, this is easier, so just do that.
Right.
You know, like, so make them a girl. Right. Like, that's so insane.
It's so reductive. Like, I think human beings are so complex, and we have so many, like, so if human beings in general are, how would gender be simple? gender is also complex, and
Right.
I think that's how it fits us as human beings. Like we all, there's so much that goes into us, and like kind of similarly, like when they've looked at like trans men's brains, our brains are more similar to cis men.
Yes,
than to
yes,
cis
it's
women.
so crazy,
Yeah.
the waves.
So how, like, what would you say to other kids, especially young girls who are maybe in the spotlight like you were and might have similar feelings to how you were feeling about being in the community and stuff like that? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would. That's a great question, because I do try and just be, like we were talking about earlier, representation for kids visibly. I would just say trust your instincts, and also know that like this is why I hate labels. You don't have to stay one way. Like you could like girls one day and then, hey, I kind of like this guy, or your label always can change like that. In my opinion, you don't have to stick,
absolutely.
with one way. And I think, if you're in the spotlight, be true to yourself, because the second that you start living a falsehood, or you start trying to convince somebody of somebody you're not, then it will give them something to attack. You're making yourself available to possibly catch yourself in a lie. And that's when people love to catch people in lies or being untruthful. So live your truth. Live your truth. You're going to make mistakes, but if somebody can fall in love with the true you, it's going to be way more forgiving of stuff in the future. So and also just live life for yourself. Don't
Yeah.
care
Right.
about what
Definitely.
those spectators are doing.
What about someone who maybe would feel scared like you felt scared even now?
Yeah.
Would you?
No, it's just such an honest feeling.
Yeah.
And if you weren't scared, in my opinion, it would mean you're not passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'cause
like if you were
have to
just
work
like
so hard in
yeah.
this industry.
Like if you really thought that or if somebody really thought it was a trend, it would be so easy to come out. But
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
feeling nervous, that means that feeling is true to you, and it's okay to feel that. I'm a big journaler. I like to write down my thoughts, and so if you get your thoughts out first, and then see how you would kind of maybe talk about it.
Right. Amazing.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like leads into this question. Does it ever get exhausting for you to always have to be this person that's kind of a role model for these like young kids now that you are out? And you're living your own life. You're finding out
Yeah.
your own thing.
Yeah.
You're going through all these things with your husband and everything.
Yeah.
Do you ever just feel like sometimes like, oh, I just like...
Yeah, I worry about quote unquote messing up, which is a big fear of mine, even though it's like I should be able to mess up, and I do mess up. But my biggest fear is like I have a little sister who's 10 and a little brother who's 16 and then a little brother who's 25. But mostly for the 10 and 16-year-old, I'd never want them to look at me via social media or on camera or anything and go, that's my sister.
Yeah.
Or my little brother would get made fun of at school because I'm in the community.
Okay.
And they would attack him about it. And so I'm very careful with how I kind of promote my queerness, if that makes sense. Because I don't want people to be like, you're pushing your agenda on me, and because I am. I am. I need you to see it in true form. So I feel like every time I put something out, it's more educational based.
Right.
And I've never, ever led with hate. Even if there's somebody who attacks Jekka or myself or my brother or sister, I always lead with first, hey, that really hurt my feelings. Humanize myself. Educate them on proper verbiage of something if maybe they don't even like it, and then move on from it. And usually what happens online specifically is I'll apologize or something. But so for me, I'm just like, I don't ever want to look like in a negative way.
Yeah.
And I mean that in partying, or I do my fair share of drinking and everything, but I'm not gonna be.
I've seen you out.
Yeah, I'm like, but I won't.
We were both at Pride Eve together.
Pride Eve, we got litty, but no, I would never. But I don't want to my kids one day to see that too.
Yeah.
So that's just my biggest thing with what I choose to put out on the internet is just making sure that I don't really look a fool.
Yeah.
I guess.
And I think, I'm sure there's a pressure there, and I'm sure that can get exhausting, but at the same time, if this is also for you and for your future family, it's probably a little more relieving that it's not just for all these, spectators out there, it's actually for personal reasons.
Yeah, and it does get exhausting, but the bigger the community, the easier it gets. And I feel like online.
So basically, you're not getting a face tattoo anytime soon.
Yeah, no, but I wish I could. Literally, like, we have some projects coming up, and I've always wanted to dye my hair light pink, literally, like mini Arlo. And I've always wanted to do it, but my team never would let me just because of my acting stuff and just kind of my image, I guess, of what that is. I'm very girl next door, but it was
exactly.
Disney,
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
But once, like, if one of these projects go through, I'm like going straight to the hair salon. I'm gonna be like light pink, baby.
Do you have tattoos anywhere?
Huh?
Do you have tattoos anywhere?
Yeah, I do. They're all hidden. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But you have to keep them kind of.
Well, I think now now that I'm not really like contracted to that Disney
world
image,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's probably safer.
I would love to have a sleeve. Like, I think that would be so cool.
Oh, when I was doing this, because I was still like in acting when I was doing all this, and everyone was like, "What are you doing?" And I was just like, you know what, YOLO. My life will go where it goes. Like, And I still I kind of stopped acting for a little while, but if I get back into it, I'm just obviously going to get casted as people with tattoos.
Yeah,
so,
and that's
whatever.
such a cool look.
Yeah. I mean, look at like Machine Gun Kelly. Like.
Yeah.
So this interview has been literally amazing. I think I got chills like 5 times. You're amazing. You and Jack are amazing. But we kind of end every interview with these 2 questions that me and Arlo love. We feel like it just gives the listeners a good idea of who you are, and it's just a great way to kind of like close out this interview. And then we're also going to play a really fun game. Very relevant for everything that's going on right now. But first, Arlo, shoot it off.
So, what is one thing that you would want to be known for when you leave this earth? So, after you leave this earth, like, what's one thing? It could be anything.
Yeah, I love this question. I want to start a full kind of rescue foundation for animals and people. So, like, rehabilitating, like, humans and
That's awesome.
and animals. Yeah. So
I love that.
I told Jack, I said, if I pass, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'm going to start a rescue.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. That's a brilliant thing to leave.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, I'll ask the next one. Do you think 10-year-old Mollee would be proud of Mollee now?
Oh, yeah. Whoa, why did that kind of make me emotional? Yes, I feel like this is a life that I dreamed about, but never even realized it would be this amazing. I never knew that I was going to be able to make a difference in even just one person's life. So, I think she would definitely be proud.
I agree, because we're proud of you, and I think the exact same thing. And when people have asked me that about like when I'm young, I get the same feeling.
I was like,
you just
whoa.
I know, it's so interesting, because I think when you're that 10-year-old, you know what you were going through then, and then you feel how you feel now, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's amazing. I think you've helped so many people. I think you're such a role model, and we are so happy that you came here today.
Thank you.
It was amazing. And now let's play kind of silly, fun game.
I'm excited.
Make it a little lighthearted, but also kind of stick it to the man.
Hey.
So because we live in a country that clearly doesn't protect women's bodies, I thought for our game today we would play, is this quote from Handmaid's Tale or an old male politician? So Mollee is going to guess. I'm going to read the quote. Arlo's going to read a quote, and then Mollee has to guess. Is this from the show or is this real life?
Oh, okay.
And I know you said you haven't seen Handmaid's Tale, right?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it, but I know the premise of it.
Yeah,
so.
like you know.
And clips on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll read the first one.
Okay.
The baby is born, the mother meets with the doctor, they take care of the baby, they wrap the baby beautifully, and then the doctor and the mother determine whether or not they will execute the baby.
Oh my gosh.
So write down your answer and then hold it up to the camera and we'll see if you're right or not. Shockingly, that was Trump.
No way. Actually, yes way. I totally believe that. Oh my gosh.
I know, that one I was like, wait, I'm even not sure. I had to like double check. I was like,
It's insane, yeah.
shocking, right?
Whoa, yeah.
Honestly, not at this
Yeah,
point.
like kind of not.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure everybody knows, but just to clarify, HMT stands for Handmaid's Tale. Just putting it out there.
We're not going to make her write that out.
Yeah, just for you guys know.
Okay, Arlo, read the next quote.
So this one is, better never means better for everyone. It always means worse for some. It's hard.
Yeah, these are hard.
The fact that it's hard
It's
to
scary.
distinguish is scary.
Yeah,
That's why I wanted to play this.
Yeah.
One more time.
Okay.
Better never means better for everyone. It always means worse for some.
What?
basically saying, oh, even if you
Yeah.
try to make things better, it's going to be bad for some people.
Okay, I'm gonna try and go this one again. If this is wrong, I'm embarrassed.
No,
That
you're
is
correct.
correct.
Okay,
That's
good,
correct.
okay.
Yeah, good job.
I
You're
was like,
correct.
I don't think any of our politicians are that smart to word
Yeah.
things like that.
I know some of the Handmaid's Tale, they speak almost in like old language. So I
Yeah.
gotta pick the ones that wouldn't be like obvious.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah. They people are not that smart, not that articulate in
Yeah.
real life.
Okay, this one. How about if a child is halfway out of the birth canal? Is an abortion permissible then?
Oh my gosh.
Correct. Correct. That was one of my personal favorites because of how insane it was. It was just.
Yeah, that guy did said that on tape. But it's
Yeah.
like you can actually watch him say it.
It's literally that was on the for the Roe v. Wade thing.
Yeah.
I was like, what? So it says children. What else is there to live for?
Oh.
Incorrect. Handmaid's Tale.
Dang.
We must treat these girls respectfully in a godly fashion despite the moral stain from their lives before. Referring to women who get abortions. Yep.
Yeah, like,
Handmaid's Tale.
yeah.
In case
It's
someone didn't see that.
always because they're more articulate.
Yeah.
That's literally the only thing. It's not
Yeah,
even.
the other ones are a little rambly.
Yeah, it's not even like what they're saying. It's just that they sound like more put together.
Exactly.
Like someone wrote it. Like
Yeah.
a writer wrote it.
Yeah.
All right, that was
that game is
So
really
fun and
something.
shocking. Wow.
both fun and
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I love when in the Roe v. Wade thing when that one guy was like, "What is a woman?" She's like, "I'm a woman."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Well, can you go in further on that?" And she's like, "I'm telling you, I'm a woman."
Yeah.
And then he's like, it's like
Yeah.
Because basically he was trying to get her to like slip up and
basically say like, "Oh, cis," like,
Yeah,
and how's
like,
it like there's
how
a
do you
difference.
identify?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
trying to get her to go more on that, but
she didn't.
yeah.
insanity. Well, it's this is obviously like a difficult time in
Yeah.
this country, but I do hope that like we can come together, like you were saying, and I think it's really time to stick together and have people listen to podcasts like this and
Yeah.
follow each other on our social media and everything. And
Didn't like the founding fathers say that if someone messes with our rights, we can mess with the government and basically mess with them back?
Yes. Let's do it.
all right, Mollee, thank you so much for being here. Do you want to just go ahead and look in the camera and tell everyone where to find you?
Yes, you can find me on all social platforms, Mollee Gray, and then our queer content house is Pride House LA. Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun, and Arlo, you're just such a badass. I love it, and yeah.
Can't wait to see you have kids and we're having play dates.
Yes, all the time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
All right, everyone, you know where to find us. We're going to be releasing a new episode next week, every Thursday at noon. You can find us on all streaming platforms and the Past Your Bedtime YouTube channel.